Clara suspects her husband's lies after a botched job. Using her switchboard, she traces his calls and uncovers his betrayal. She maps the crime, sets a trap, and lets him take the fall. While he faces the consequences, Clara claims the prize and disappears into the silence. What would you have done?
This raw audio recording was pulled directly from a 1950s telephone exchange. The magnetic tape contains the only surviving evidence of a conversation that shouldn't have been recorded. Tommy, a mid-level enforcer, is calling from a rain-slicked phone booth. He sounds desperate, claiming a rival crew ambushed the heist and forced him into hiding. Clara, a switchboard operator and Tommy's wife, listens from her station. She hears her husband beg for a second chance, weaving a story of a heist gone wrong and a marriage he wants to save. On the surface, the recording captures a tragic romance. This familiar narrative obscures the lethal reality of the interaction. Analyzing this tape as a piece of forensic evidence reveals a different story. When we treat the audio as a crime scene, the romantic stakes disappear. Clara is the anonymous architect who planned the heist. She used her position at the exchange to orchestrate every move from the shadows. The investigation focuses on the mechanics of the call itself. We have to look at how Clara used the telephone network to turn Tommy's predictable behavior into a trap. This recording represents the final phase of a criminal master plan. The dialogue isn't a plea for forgiveness, it is the sound of a trap being closed. Tommy tells Clara he was ambushed by a rival crew during the job. It's an alibi designed to explain why the money is missing and why he's in hiding. To understand why Tommy lied, we must look at Clara's workstation. As an operator, she controls the central nervous system of the city's communication. This diagram shows the network grid. Sitting at the central node, Clara executes a man-in-the-middle attack. She alters the coordination calls and diverts the signal, sending Tommy's crew into a rival gang's trap. As the crews collide, Clara extracts the stolen loot. Controlling the physical routing of information allows Clara to dictate the physical movement of the muscle on the street. Tommy assumes Clara is cold because he thinks she discovered his infidelity. He treats the conversation as a domestic negotiation. Tommy's panic is erratic and completely guilt-driven. Clara remains entirely calculated, letting his fear guide the conversation. Clara uses his affair as a psychological smokescreen. She avoids confronting him about the woman, knowing his guilt will keep him talking and distracted. Tommy relies on the trope of the emotional betrayed wife. This sense of superiority prevents him from realizing that he's making excuses for his affair, while the heist money has already vanished. Clara allows her husband's ego to drive the dialogue, ensuring he never questions the actual mechanics of the robbery. Clara eventually drops the act with a single line, "I care that you talk to the feds." She didn't just stumble onto this information. For months, Clara used her access at the switchboard to monitor Tommy's private calls. She cross-referenced his outgoing calls with known federal numbers, verifying that Tommy was acting as a confidential informant. Exposing him as a snitch ensures the mob will handle Tommy for her. It delegitimizes him entirely, leaving Clara free to disappear. Passive surveillance turned an ordinary conversation into leverage, allowing Clara to win before the heist started. Isolating the audio frequencies on the tape reveals a hidden detail. Beneath Tommy's voice, there is a distinct spike, the sound of a high-pitched train whistle. Tommy realizes the street outside his phone booth is silent. The whistle is bleeding into the call from Clara's end of the line. Clara has already abandoned her post at the central switchboard. She bridged her line to a remote telephone at the railway terminal and is currently boarding a train with the stolen loot. The call serves as a mechanical stall. By routing her remote location through the exchange, she creates a delayed transmission that keeps Tommy occupied in the booth while she physically leaves the city. At the railway terminal, Clara prepares the final mechanical step to close the loop on Tommy. She uses the terminal's patch bay to route Tommy's live, confessing line directly to the police chief's desk. She simply whispers, "Goodbye, Tommy," and decisively yanks the plug, completely severing his connection to the outside world. Criminal supremacy belongs to the architects who control the flow of data, not the men who carry the guns. Clara's perfect crime was built on her husband's own lies. The most dangerous person in the room is the one quietly listening on the wire.